Today, I decided we are going to react to Rotten Mango, aka Stephanie. I love her. She is a great storyteller. So, grab some snacks or some popcorn, some chips. This video is an hour and a half. But, you know, it's worth it. I love her. Let's see. Let me pause my music. Alright, let's see. So, the title of this is 500 Teens Trapped on an Island with a Madman that's hunting them. Sound interesting. You don't have snacks? You don't got chips? Well, you gotta have snacks.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Bada
The
bing,
summer
bada boom.
sleepaway camp for youths is
Love
held
Mr.
on the
Panda
island
husband
of
back
Utah
there.
every single year for the past 61 years without fail. Kids, typically around the ages of 14
Got
and 20
Cheez-Its.
years old, they're gonna gather for this multiple night stay on this heart-shaped island. And I say island, but don't picture like a tropical getaway destination. It feels more like camping. It's got that stereotypical summer camp
I've never
setting
been
in the
camping.
middle of the
I've always
woods,
wanted to
tall
go.
green pine trees, bonfires, the dirt.
But in all fairness, I don't think I would do well going out camping. I would have loved to when I was younger, but I hate bugs. They just bite. I get really bad reactions to the bug bites.
Pathways that connect the campgrounds to the very few buildings that are on this island. You don't really even have many bathrooms. You just have what they call the
No,
sanitation
my
building,
mom used to
which
go
is like the-
camping, but she did a lot of stuff that I would have loved to do. But my mom used to go camping out in California, and where my Oma currently lives is like surrounded by mountains, and it is such a gorgeous, gorgeous place. That would have been such a nice place to camp.
This giant communal bathroom where every single morning you see all these little teenagers come out of their campgrounds. So whether it's a little camping house or a little tent, they have their toothbrush in hand, ready to go to the bathrooms and brush their teeth. During the summers, it's always raining, or it's like drizzling. So you hear that on the tents. And you likely need 3 bottles of mosquito spray on you at all times.
Sounds like
It's
Florida.
not bright and sunny all the time. Now, the island itself is relatively small. It's about 26 acres, which, to give you a comparison, a visual comparison, that's about 2 massive stadiums combined. The Yankee Stadium, for example, is a good comparison, 2 of those combined. Or 15 football fields connected to each other. I mean, okay, it's not small, but it's not large, especially during the camp session when almost 600 teenagers are on the island.
Editor's note. I don't know why the audio is doubling. I don't know what was going on there. I didn't notice it before. I tried to fix it. I don't think I fixed it fully, but it's definitely better than it was. And I think I have it fixed for next time. Hopefully. I don't know. What the island is?
The adults organizing the...
Honestly, I'm a little confused too. Sometimes she will open her videos with like things that gets you invested in the story without telling you like really anything about it. I'm not quite sure. It's got to be like a camp of some sorts, like summer camp. But I genuinely don't know what's going on, and maybe it's because I missed like the first minute. Not a minute, but like, you know, I missed a little bit. I'm confused. So I guess we'll find out.
Whole camp, the camp counselors, guest speakers that come and talk to the teenagers.
Oh, we are reacting.
And there's a lot of action going on.
We are reacting to 500 Teens Trapped on an Island with a Madman that's hunting them by Rotten Mango. I love her. I haven't seen this yet, so I have absolutely no clue other than the title, what it's about.
With these teenagers, they've got energy. Even after a full day, jam-packed itinerary, they're like, we got to play some games at night. They would have these little dance parties. This is a time where Justin Bieber's Baby
I thought
was
it'd
the
be
hit
interesting.
song.
That's
You
why I
could
wanted to
walk by a row
watch
of
it
tents,
on stream.
And more often than not, that song is playing on repeat in like at least half of the tents. Or if you sneak out of your tent after a lights out time, you might stumble upon two teenagers just groping each other on what they call the lover's path. That's what they call it. It's literally this grassy path where at some parts the grass is really tall. So if you were to lay down on the grass, it would cover your body.
Yeah.
And I guess for that reason, teenagers are like, this is a great idea to just make out in the grass and not be seen. But like, not really, because it's called the lover's path.
That's not a great
so
idea.
So the odds of running into another couple that has the same exact idea
is so awkward.
Is probably high. But when they're not trying to make out, the campgoers would come up with very unique ways to stay excited. They made Wednesday a speed dating night. Thursdays were for karaoke, and they would constantly play games with just a big group of students. Charades, tag, hide and seek, just with each other up and down this hilly island. Whoa, wait, be careful. That leads to the edge of the island. So most of the island would have cliff-like
I mean, that's kind of a straight drop.
So like
it looks like you'd pretty much just drop straight into the water.
That gently goes into
but
the
then
water.
again,
It's
there
like
might
a
be
drop.
rocks and sharp, jagged rocks and stuff in there that you would fall on because it kind of looks shallow. I'm not sure.
There's jagged rocks. So yes, summer camp is about the games that you play. And right now, there's a group of 11 teenagers laying down on the grass on the lover's path. Here.
Okay.
Right here. Shh. Just lie down and pretend like we're dead. Lie down kind of in like a strange position so it looks like we're dead. Hurry. They all start throwing their bodies awkwardly on the ground. I mean, they're almost kind of piled up on each other with their limbs just tangled. I mean, it's very uncomfortable. It's the type of position to at least give you one of those aching leg cramps that makes you want to cry. It's very weird. Now, if a single one of them moves, sneezes,
they're
coughs,
screwed.
Or maybe they forgot to silence their phone and it goes off, their cover would be blown. It's a tense situation because
I don't want to take away from this, but like, imagine how traumatizing that situation has to be for you to like feel the need to play dead. Like, there have been cases with the school shootings in America where these kids who shouldn't have to feel scared to be at school are having to play dead just to hope that they can, make it out. I saw a story where this girl had said that her classmate was bleeding next to her, and she took that blood and like smeared it on herself so that it looked like she was shot and dead, so that the shooter would pass her by. Like that, those have to be such traumatizing situations where you're at the extent of just play dead. Maybe they'll leave you alone. Maybe they'll believe that you're dead, And then it's so nerve-wracking that you're trying to watch your breath. You're trying not to make sure you don't sneeze. Like she said, like maybe you forgot to silence your phone or things like that happen. You twitch, you get a shiver. Oh, that's just it. That's so scary.
At that point, it's not even about you. It's about you blowing the cover for 10 of your friends. I mean, the stakes are really high. One of the 11 whispers, "It'll be fine, okay? Just stay like this." They can all feel the raindrops hitting their face, just big droplets of water, but they're not even flinching in the slightest. They're using all their energy to breathe in as little air as possible. Because if we're both laying in the grass, your arm is on top of my waist and someone else's leg is on top of you, every single time I breathe, your arm, that person's leg, is going to go up.
They're going to move.
And then it's going to go down.
Oh.
None of them really know how long they're supposed to be hiding like that. I mean, I guess when the whole thing is over, right? But when is that? They're starting to get angsty. Shh. They hear footsteps. The footsteps are heavy, but not fast. It's almost like a marching noise. Heavy boots on the ground. One step at a time. Not rushing.
Hiking boots.
Whoever this is,
probably.
It's interesting. They're not hiding and they're not playing dead. The group of 11, they're holding their breaths while they hear the foot snapping the branches and twigs on the moist mud ground, and it sounds like it's getting closer. I mean, they could have sworn that snap sounded like it was right next to them. One of the 11 lifts their head.
No. Keep your head down. Put your head back down.
Maybe early 30s.
Why would you
hair,
move?
Blue eyes, staring straight at them. His face is empty. He doesn't even look confused. Like, why are there 11 teenagers just laying in the grass like that? He just looks like he's analyzing the situation. He slowly raises his hand and in his hand there is a gun.
Wait,
and
is
he
that
shoots.
is that him? Did
He
someone get
fires
footage?
over and over into the human pile on the
Oh
grass.
my god.
If one wasn't shot yet, they were underneath friends who had been shot, and their blood was soaking into them now. One boy kept begging the rest of the group, "I'm dying. Please help me. I think I'm dying." Nobody could help him. They're all dying. Too.
I was about to say they're all
Out
dying
of the
as
11,
well. What can they
only
do?
one would survive. 10 from that group would die. But
at least one from the group survived, but I know they probably experienced such heavy survivor's guilt in that like instance. Well, maybe not in that instance, but after they had time to register everything that happened, I'm sure they probably had survivor's guilt, which there's nothing wrong with being somebody who survives. Like, you shouldn't have to feel guilty for something like that. But this is just such a harsh situation.
Another 59 from the island, mainly teenagers, will also be killed in the next hour.
God. Next hour? Hold on, is there only one man going around just killing them? Because that's a lot in an hour. Rotten Mango.
Now, as always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. There is a documentary out on this case that was quite insightful.
Oh,
there
shit,
is
really?
a ton of articles and written deep dives, but
I never knew about this.
The most invaluable source for today's episode is a book on this case titled One of Us, the story of Anders Breivik, written by Asni Saarstad. She is this incredibly talented investigative.
I don't really like sponsorships most of the time, but I love her. I'll let hers play. I normally skip like sponsorships and ads and things like that.
Journalist that has won
I don't
numerous
care for them.
awards for her focus on young women's stories, typically in war-torn countries. She poured through the court documents, worked directly with the survivors, victims' families, and she was dedicated to unpacking every single layer of this really twisted, really sick story. The book is incredibly well written, and by well written, I mean just like gut-wrenchingly painful to get through because of how emotional it gets and how raw it is. And additionally, we did most of our research with Norwegian or Swedish articles. So as always with international cases, please let us know in the comments if there was anything lost in translation, miscommunicated, or any additional information that you might have. One big disclaimer. Today's case involves a lot of heavy subjects that I think can inevitably turn very political very quickly. There are references to domestic
pretty much everything
terrorism,
nowadays gets
racism,
turned political.
Islamophobia, political opinions between who the perpetrator views as a conservative or a liberal. I know, it's a lot. Please view this at your own discretion and prioritize your health and your peace.
Hold on, where is this leading
if
that's part of the little warning?
Have you ever heard of the Eye of Providence? I mean, maybe you haven't heard of the term, but the minute that I describe it, you're going to be like, oh my god, why does that sound so familiar? Where have I seen that? I feel like I see that all the time. It is a very realistic eye inside of a triangle.
Okay, the little Illuminati
it has
eye
rays
thing.
of light just beaming out of this triangle. It looks like this eye inside the triangle is glowing.
Like Illuminati sign?
Yes, I mean Illuminati.
See, he
right?
said
But
too.
where do you see it all the time? Like, you don't go to hang out with Illuminati people or Illuminati clubs. So where would you see this? Because you see it all the time.
On the American dollar bill.
I think I see it all the time, do I?
It's on the back
Yay!
of a $1 bill.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
USD, of course. Now, technically, to a lot of people, the eye is supposed to represent the all-seeing eye of God. It's a symbol of divine providence, meaning the Creator is watching over man and all of man's
Big
deeds.
Brother is watching.
A reminder for a man to be humble and that there is a higher being. Like, it's a reminder.
Okay.
But others say, no, it's just creepy. It's a conspiracy. It's Big Brother. They're watching us. That's what that means. Look, I don't know how deep you look into it, but it could be the Illuminati. It could be a design choice for the banknote, or it could also.
Well, I don't think it was a conspiracy at the time that it was originally put out there and printed on the bills and whatnot. I think it got turned into that kind of.
They are one of the most
maybe.
mysterious secret societies out there. They've been
I don't know the
around
origin
for
of it.
hundreds of years. Some people argue since early 18th century. I mean, technically, it's a fraternity, but for like non-college students, it's a male fraternity where men from qualifying industries with qualifying levels of skill, income, pedigree, background, they are interviewed because you can't just join.
Okay.
And they network and focus on charity. But because not everyone can join, typically they run on a to be one, ask one system. Meaning to be a Freemason, you have to know a Freemason and
Rich
ask them
people
to
who know
sponsor
people.
You. Ask them to put your name in to be casted, to even be considered to join the Freemasons.
Like a lottery?
Are they still around?
Oh, yeah. Now, if you pass that stage, the Freemasons will investigate you. They will look into your background, interview you, make sure that you're a
What
good
does this have to
fit,
do with the
and
shooter?
Most of the time,
No
you
clue.
do have to be
I'm
voted
sure
in.
something.
And just because you get in doesn't mean
we
you've
have to
got
be
the
getting
status
somewhere
and the power
with
all
this
of a sudden.
part.
Even in the Freemasons, there's a seemingly endless
Little
degree
history
system.
lesson in the
Because
middle of the
Freemasons are all
video.
about growth and journeying to become a better man. Allegedly, when
Okay.
a man joins the Freemasons, they have a series of oaths that they need to take, and one of them is protecting the secrets of the order. Breaking the secret, breaking the trust
The only
of the
rule of
Freemasons
Fight Club
is
is
seen
we
as
do
a
not
grave
talk about
offense.
Fight Club.
There's rituals, ceremonies, allegedly, symbols with meanings, all of which
Hold on.
allegedly.
Look at this man. Look at this man. Like, you know, smile, smile. I think he's smiling. He's kind of, he just looks like he's laughing in disbelief at something.
Rituals, ceremonies, allegedly, symbols with meanings, all of which, allegedly, according to slightly conspiratorial online Redditors, are all kept a secret for a reason. I mean, why? Like, if there's nothing to hide, why would you have all these secrets? So, naturally, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that come out of Freemasonry.
Of course.
Some believe the connection between the symbols like the Eye of Providence and the secrecy of the Freemasons, that they're performing rituals. Bloody rituals. They're sacrificing animals. They're sacrificing
Like satanic
humans.
rituals?
What else would they be doing? Because there's this running theory since the beginning of, I don't even know how long.
Since the
probably
beginning
since
of
the beginning
whenever.
the Freemasons. The Freemasons are a network of the most influential, powerful people that are pulling all the strings on a
Oh,
global
yep.
scale.
Would you look at
They're
that?
the
Rich people who
running
know
this world.
people.
You think it's the presidents? No, it's not. Well, maybe it is. Because there were 15 U.S. presidents who were Freemasons.
Yep.
15.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
So people are saying, think about it. The Eye of Providence is their symbol, or at least it's one of their symbols, and it's on the $1 bill. What if they got it on the bill to show everyone just how powerful they are? That's the real influence, and just all the decisions are in their hands. All Anders wanted was to get into the Freemasons. And once he
Okay.
got in, he could
So
carry
that's
out
what it
the
has to
rest
do
of
with
his
this.
plan.
Kind of.
Kill
Is
as
he
many
wanted to be
kids
one.
at the summer camp as possible.
Why is that,
That
your
was his
plan?
plan.
Why?
It was kind of a weird gift to get someone, you know, a vibrator. Yeah. Okay, there's a woman who gets a
What?
vibrator as a gift. Now, conveniently, this is after she mentions to this guy in
Stephanie,
passing
that was
she
a
and her
weird,
boyfriend broke up.
a weird
I mean, what
transition
kind of
to that.
message is he trying to send her by getting her a vibrator? How is she even supposed
Okay.
to react to that? And then to make matters worse, every time he saw her after he gifted her that, he kept asking, "Did you use it yet?" It was just a lot.
Oh.
I mean, what is she gonna say? She's starting to feel alarmed about the whole thing.
Awkward.
He'd always kind of been like that. She'd known him for a while. Sometimes they would sleep in the same bed, and he would just press his body up against her, clinging onto her so tight that she felt like she couldn't breathe, like she was going to go claustrophobic. Even if she tried to inch away from him, he would just inch
just, like,
closer
yeah.
and closer and closer to her. And it always felt like any minute now, he's going to force himself on her. Like he was trying to,
Damn.
you know,
Yeah.
it's just a very uncomfortable situation. Because,
I get what you.
A son
I
shouldn't
get
do
what
that
you
to his
mean,
mother.
Stephanie.
right? What kind of son gives his mom a vibrator?
Hold on. His mom?
How old is this?
20s?
And they still sleep together?
Sometimes he would crawl in her bed.
Okay.
Now, if you want to people watch, the best place is at a red light. I'm serious.
I
Okay, I
don't
think
have
humans have
words.
yet to evolve to realize that sitting in your car does not make you invisible. Even if your windows are
Yeah. I've played rock paper scissors with people at a red light before. I've also looked over and seen people jamming to their music. I mean, like full on jam, but I do that too. I very much like listening and singing along to my music in the car. So, I also talk and move like with my hands a lot. So I'm sure that like people have seen me at red lights just waving my hands around or jamming out to music, bopping my head.
they're tinted. Chances are that people can peer directly into your car and see
Yeah.
you knuckle deep into your nostril, picking your nose. Even just people watching and looking at the car next
People
to you at
watching
a red
is
light,
fun.
you can usually tell if that person is in a rush or not. Are they tapping on the steering wheel, but in this erratic way that you just know that they're not tapping along to the beat of the music, but they're late for work, so they're anxious? But also, if you're in Oslo, Norway, July 22nd, 2011, there would be a lot of time for you to people watch because traffic is jam-packed. The only thing you can do is listen to music or just glance around and see if you can write everybody's backstory because the traffic is bad. You're not going anywhere. And that one was weird.
I hate traffic.
There was a Fiat on the road, a small
That's why I'm
little
so
Fiat,
glad
and inside of
my
it is
job
a
is
police
a-
officer
only a
who
5-minute
looks
drive.
incredibly tense. He's wearing a full body armor, black armor, one of those police outfits. He's wearing an all-black riot helmet, and he's carrying a pistol in plain sight that's just laying on his passenger seat. I mean, normally that's not how he or any police officer would dress or handle themselves, but July 22nd, 2011 was a very different kind of day. Nothing was going according to plan.
2011.
Nothing was normal
Alright.
that day. That morning in Oslo, Norway, a
Damn,
white
a while
windowless
ago.
van had parked right in front of a government building in the center of the capital city. And that white car would explode. There was a bomb inside. The building, the government building, it looks like a pressure cooker that exploded. There's footage from an angle of the bomb going off, and the
I
building
think I
is still
heard about
standing
that.
afterwards. It does not
I-
collapse.
I have.
but it's
I've
kind of
heard
like when you
about
play
that
Jenga.
before.
You take out a full layer, and the whole building goes up and then
Oh,
falls
I love
down.
Jenga. Haven't played in a while
It's still
though.
standing, but I highly doubt it's structurally sound. The inside has been torpedoed. Some floors have fallen into each other. The glass on the windows have blown outward,
Wow,
completely shattered.
look at that.
Even the metal, steel, and wood window frames, they've snapped. And they snap like when you snap wooden chopsticks. There's jagged end pieces, and
The
they just
splinters.
go flying across the street. They slam into the building, across, onto the cars, onto pedestrians. The AC unit on this government roof is blown off, and it just goes flying in the air. There's debris and roof parts and construction parts everywhere. There's smoke coming out from that government building, and it looks like all the civilians had woken up in the middle of the night, came out, and looted the entire city. That's what it looks like. There's just dust. There's chaos all over the streets. When you look into that government building, the insides look completely charred. And you could have heard that explosion from 50
Okay.
miles away from the
Stephanie,
center.
what does this have to do with
But
the
see,
island?
everyone in Norway, and honestly, globally, would know about this bomb. It was, first of all, a massive bomb. The bomb itself weighed more than a ton. It was about the weight of a
Damn.
small elephant or a hippopotamus.
What?
And it was homemade.
To
To give you a better visual context, maybe you
ton
see this more
bomb.
often. You know those bulldozers that you have a singular person on construction sites working?
Yeah.
That's about that size. But a bomb.
Damn.
Well, in weight, at least.
Oh, okay. I
Now,
was
the
about to
fuse
say, that's
had a burn
that's
time
big
of
ass
slightly
bomb.
over 7 minutes, which means, one, whoever did this, they put a lot of thought into their plan to escape. And two, they could be anywhere at this point. The entire street is just littered with shrapnel. Every construction piece of a building is on the ground. They were going flying like bullets. There was a woman found with a foot-long wooden stake impaling her skull. Part of a window frame from the 10th floor office building had broken
Right, I don't know what this has to do with the shooter, because I'm almost 100% certain that that driver ain't the shooter. I know he didn't make it out of that building. So I don't really know what this has to do with it, or the traffic portion. Like, what that has to do with it either. I don't know. We're getting somewhere, I'm sure.
off, flew high speed at her head. She survived. The first people at the scene, police officers, even journalists, they all said they kept waiting for someone to scream. And cut.
Oh, like
They
a
said
movie.
it looked like a movie scene. They thought a director
okay.
would come out and say, "Just kidding, guys. I'm sorry I didn't let the city know. This is all fake." Because it looked like an apocalyptic scene. But that call never came. Later, investigators would go up to the rooftops
Yeah,
of the
it
buildings,
wasn't.
and
It wasn't
these
a
are not
joke.
short buildings.
This actually
either.
happened.
These are like 10 stories, multiple dozens of stories, if not taller, and they would find human remains up on the roof.
Okay.
The blast had been so strong, some of the victims were blown to pieces and their body parts went flying.
Right. I
One
normally.
victim who was
I like her, she tells stories really well and stuff. However, she does like to jump around all over the place, and I have noticed that in her more recent videos, she kind of does it a lot more. But she literally is just like jumping all over the place. I'm very confused on what this has to do with what the video is about, with about the kids. I think we have talked about the kids only in like the first 5 minutes, and now we're talking about other stuff. I kind of saw what the what were they, the Freemasons, is that what they were? I kind of saw how they played in a little bit, so I'm wondering where she's going with this.
Is walking into the government building. The only thing left of his body was his hand that had landed on the ground, and on his ring finger was his wedding ring.
Oh.
The bomb killed 8 people, but by the end of the day, 69 people would be dead, most of them teenagers.
Wait,
Officer
did it
Martin
happen at the
is
same
now sitting in
time?
traffic in his full police uniform, his
Was
riot
this-
helmet on his passenger seat, and he's got to hurry before all hell breaks loose.
Are we trying to
Once
say
news of
that this
explosion-
was a distraction? Like the explosion was a distraction from what was happening on the island, maybe? Like maybe that's how it plays in? Let's keep going.
gets out, everyone's gonna get in their cars and start driving. They're gonna drive out to family members that live on the countryside just to feel safer. They're gonna drive to the airport, which they just don't want to feel like a target. They don't know what's going on. Norway feels like it's under attack right now. Is this a terrorist attack? Who is attacking them? There's rumors that it's Al Qaeda, it's a terrorist organization. They're rushing to go pick up their loved ones and make sure they're not out and about. It's about to be even crazier. It's already standstill traffic. I mean, the drive was supposed to be very quick, much quicker, but it would take him a full hour to get to the island. Officer Martin is doing his best to weave through traffic to move
okay,
faster
so that's how the
and
traffic
quicker,
plays
but time is
in.
of the essence. And it's interesting that none of the other officers have set up those roadblocks. Why not? What is everybody doing? At this rate, whoever set off the bomb is probably on their way out of Oslo and headed
they're
to their
probably
next
gone, yeah.
destination.
They're
And who
gone.
knows what they're capable of when they get there. Once the police officer gets to the docks, he demands that a ferry come get him and take him to the island right now. It was the police department higher-ups' orders. They're going to station police officers everywhere around the city, and the island needs to be contained. They're going to go into full lockdown mode. There's going to be 2 other officers that are going to be assisting. They're going to need to be picked up by the ferry. We got to go. Stat. The ferry comes to pick up the officer, but the captain is a little agitated. How come I wasn't made aware of this? I mean, man, it's complete chaos in Oslo right now. What do you mean?
I was about to say, I
The
mean, it kind
policeman
of seems
gets on the
like
ferry
shit just
with a
happened.
briefcase and a rifle. The captain of the ferry is stressed.
Never
I mean,
mind.
there are children on the island. They're going to be very stressed out. They're going to be panicking if they see a rifle. I don't think any of them have even seen
They're
a
already
weapon in real life.
panicking. I think they're already panicking.
It was agreed
I think it's a
that
bit
he
too
would
late
keep
for
it
that.
hidden. But also, why are the police so adamant on securing the island? I mean, it seems like the least likely place to be attacked next. Because if you're thinking about a terrorist organization, wouldn't they go for metropolitan areas, massive buildings with lots of people housed inside?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the building attacked by the bomb was the
Yeah, you
Labour
want
Party
a place with a
building.
lot of people.
Okay, it's a government building, so think of it as, I guess, like the White House, right? The Prime Minister, his office is in there. The people in power right
Okay.
now in Norway is the Labour Party. They're like the
Okay,
Democrats,
okay.
if you will. And right now on the island is a Labour Party youth gathering summer camp. The island is owned by the Labour Party, and every single summer the Labour Party Youth League has a massive summer seminar. The former Prime Minister had just been on that island like a few hours
my
ago to
gosh.
speak with the youth, the future Labour Party members. And they
Okay.
were all, almost 600 of them, were trapped on an inescapable cliff-like island. So yeah, police are going to have people stationed there. When he gets on the ferry, the captain asks him for his name.
So, wait.
Officer Martin Nilsson? Maybe the captain of the ferry felt safer, knowing that a police officer was going to be on the island. That way, they would know that the kids are actually going to be safe.
Okay,
Maybe
so
in
I'm
the
still
hectic
slightly
chaos of
confused
things,
on what, like,
there
the
was
motive
almost a moment of
is.
relief, maybe. But there shouldn't have been.
Or
Because
were they
if they
trying to
had all
attack
just
the
looked a
Prime
little bit
Minister?
closer, They might have realized
Or
this
just
man's
that,
police
that
uniform
party in general?
was fake. This was a fake police officer with a rifle and a
Well-
briefcase filled with bullets.
Yeah.
He had set off the bomb in Oslo, and he was now making his way to an island full of teenagers, which just leaves one question.
Wait.
What-
The bomb in Oslo. I thought he drove the van with the bomb in it into Oslo and it blew up and he was in the van and everything. I'm a bit slow, apparently. No, that's not what happened. Did he, like, I guess drop it off? and then just flee the scene and make his way this way? So they do connect. Yes, they do. We're getting there. See, it ties in. It all ties in. It just, you gotta be patient so that the dots can connect.
What was this fake cop's plan for the island? The couple are staring at each other because the whole thing just feels illegal. I mean, there's no way this is real life. Is this some sort of test by the foster care system? The dad talks first. Excuse me?
Is this
Anders' mom is just staring at them, deadpan. Yes, like I was saying, could you please just let my son touch your private parts on the weekends?
The what?
Wait. Let my son touch your private
Hold
part?
on.
Yeah.
What?
These are potential foster parents.
Oh my god.
And the
No.
biological
No,
mom is
no,
saying,
no,
hey,
no, no,
can
no.
you take my son with you on the weekends? But also, please let him touch your wee-wee.
Oh my god.
I mean, this cannot be real right now. Anders is 2 years old when his mom applies for him to be assigned weekend parents. So in Norway, they do things a little bit differently, but it's kind of like temporary foster care, just foster care on the weekends. Anders' mom could prove that she did not have the capabilities to care for her children on the weekends without the help of the public schools. She doesn't have the resources nor the time. So she's paired with this nice newlywed couple that could take her son Anders on the weekends and just do normal childhood activities with him. Take him to the zoo, go buy him some books, help him with his development.
Yeah,
But first,
okay.
they needed to have a few meetings with Anders and his mom. So the first time the couple meet Anders, the little boy, and the mom, they think the mom is weird. The mom is strange, you know? She's
She
just kind of off.
looks
She just didn't seem all the
not
way there.
sober.
The second time they meet, though, they thought she had lost her marbles. They thought she was absolutely bonkers. That's when she asked if her son,
Yeah, I
Anders,
would've
could
thought
touch
she's
the
crazy
foster's
too.
dad's. You know, her argument was, well, he has no father figure in his life, and he
Not
only sees
what?
girls' crotches in the house, and he doesn't
What?
know how the male body works.
But then teach your
The couple
child
was just
that.
Speechless.
But
she
don't-
just argued
don't
again.
ask
It's
that,
nothing
no.
weird. I'm just worried that
It
he's
is
suffering from
weird.
not having a father figure.
Therefore, you should let him touch.
Your wee wee.
What?
Yeah.
Ma'am, no.
She was very anxious that Anders was going to grow up weird without her dad. Because
Oh my
Anders'
God.
parents, they divorced when he was only 6 months old. And his mom argued he had no father figure his entire life and he's turning out weird. Now, to be more accurate, I don't think Anders really had any parental figures in his life. Anders' dad was a diplomat who was divorced with 3 kids from a previous marriage. And Anders' mom was this nurse,
Damn.
11 years younger than the diplomat. They actually met in
Okay.
the dark, not so romantic, dingy laundry room of their apartment complex. Quickly, they get pregnant, so a lot of chemistry there. And Anders is now.
Are we
in
sure there
his
was a lot
mom's
of
belly.
chemistry?
And from
Because
the
he
get-go,
left.
not a good plan. This whole thing was just a giant red flag. Even Anders' mom knows it's a red flag. The dad, he's not a loving dad. He already had 3 kids from a previous marriage, and anytime the 3 kids come to visit him, he would just shut them out of his head. He
Oh
wasn't
my gosh.
abusive, but he was definitely neglectful at best, in my personal opinion.
Mhm.
He's someone that does not seem to care for children at all. Anders' mom, she went back and forth about whether or not she wanted to terminate the pregnancy. Do I terminate? Do I not? Do I do this? Do I do not? I mean, there were so many glaring red flags, but at the end of the day, like, this is her baby, right? By the time that she made up her mind, she wanted to terminate. Termination was made
It was
illegal.
too late. Oh,
She
yeah.
could do nothing but have this child, and she hated this child for that very reason. She's like, this child in my stomach
Oof.
is a parasite. She felt like this baby was absorbing all the nutrients,
It's not-
growing, kicking her stomach so hard to the point
It's not
where
the
it feels
baby's
like it's on purpose,
fault.
where it feels like it's personal. While every day she grows weaker, more nauseous, less attractive. She's aging every single day, and the parasite just keeps
Okay.
getting stronger and stronger.
But you the one who got knocked up and got pregnant. It ain't the baby's fault. Don't go taking that shit out on the baby just because you couldn't get rid of it. Bruh, the baby didn't tell you to get pregnant. What? Oh my god.
She said, it's almost as if he kicks me on purpose to torment me.
But
And you know
what the
how
fuck?
some people are just like, no, just wait. The baby's gonna come out and you're gonna fall in love head over heels for your child. Just you wait.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what Anders' mom was told by her friends. But the minute that Anders came out of her, she felt like something was wrong with him. She thought all those pain meds that I was given during birth, because I was in so much pain, it messed him up somehow. I don't know how to point it, but
Okay.
something's wrong with this boy. Regardless, when Anders was about 6 months old, his parents get a divorce and he went with his mom. I mean, not that he had a choice and not that his dad fought for him. And from then on, it would just be his mom, his older half-sister, Elizabeth, from his mom's previous relationship, and Anders, and whichever boyfriend Anders' mom had at the time. Now, maybe Anders was too young to know how many boyfriends his mom had at the moment, but the neighbors weren't. I mean, they probably had a blast keeping a tally of all the new ones that would show up at her door while her kids were home. Can you believe it?
They had a whiteboard. They were marking off
And
tallies.
she goes out to do God knows what with God knows which man, and then doesn't come back until the morning. They're not.
Book club gossip. You know, all the ladies in the neighborhood get together, minus her, and they just gossip. It's, oh my God, Susie, did you see who she brought home yesterday? And an hour before that, too? Oh my God.
Not even old enough to be left alone during the night. And the saddest part is, their mom is so focused on her sex life that she doesn't even care that the children are starving. I know.
Wow.
Most kids I talked to, they said they went over to hang out with Elizabeth, the half-sister, and they would come back home starving. And they would report to their parents, they don't eat dinner at Elizabeth's. Dinner's not a thing there. Yeah.
Not a thing.
But the sex life thing was very alarming. I mean, if you're the family's neighbor and you happen to be trying to get into your apartment at the exact same time that the mom is trying to get into the apartment, you'd probably be freaking out because she will keep you in that hallway for hours trying to talk to you about anything that comes to her mind. And apparently the only thing that comes to her mind is aggressive
those people.
Yeah, it was described by many people as being incredibly aggressive conversations about sex. That's all she could talk about. In front of her own children.
She had
Elizabeth
no
is
personality
maybe 10 at this point. Anders is 4. Elizabeth was like the mom of the family. She would find an excuse for the neighbor to take just so that they could run away from their mom. She knew that her mom was a mess. She'd be like, Mom, don't we have to go put these in the freezer before they defrost? Come on, Mom, we gotta go inside. A lot of the neighbors, the teachers, they all reported something odd was going on in that house. Social Services and the Center for Child and Adolescent Psychiatry ends up investigating multiple times. And Anders' mom
they did nothing?
She's not doing really well. I mean, she clearly suffers from intense, untreated mental illnesses, but it's also just progressively getting worse. Child Services noted on numerous different occasions, mother seems severely depressed. She states she is thinking of just walking out on the children to go live her own life. She describes herself as being, quote, a nervous wreck. But at the same time, she blames all of her problems on
the kid.
She said that he was uncontrollable. He would have these temper tantrums for the smallest thing, according to his mom at least, would push around his older half-sister and even his mom.
You are Child Protective Services. Protect the child. You are not doing that. You noted that she obviously had depression. She had mental health issues. You probably saw that she had those issues. You probably saw that how skinny her kids were. She told you that she blamed her damn son for everything that's happened to her and that she would willingly just walk out of her children's life, and her children are young. Do something. Do your job. Oh my gosh. Do your job.
She said that he was so angry, his punches were painful, and if they ever tried to shake some sense into him, literally they would shake him like, what are you doing? Stop it. His mom claims that he would just smile.
They probably saw bruises on them.
In her face. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Just to taunt her, just to drive her nuts. She said clearly something is very wrong with this boy. He doesn't like to play with the other kids. He never does any pretend play, which is a big red flag in children's development. So you know how kids pretend to be a princess, a butterfly. If you don't do that, it is a little worrisome. It's a huge part of how they develop their brains. Yeah. Now, he never interacts with other kids. He just likes to stand on the side and observe, even at playgrounds.
He's a people watcher.
Even if he hurt himself very badly physically, if he tripped on cement and got a crazy road rash, he wouldn't cry. He would just stare at it. And that is bizarre.
Did he not feel pain?
Anders' own mom described him as
possible.
Clingy, difficult, demands a lot of attention, and aggressive and nasty. Anders' mom would keep asking doctors if there was something, anything at all, that they could diagnose Anders with so that she could get him on meds to help, with everything. AKA, she wants to stomp out his personality with medication because she thinks that he's too much.
The wrong kind of meds.
So specialists decide that they're
well, I guess the right kind of meds for the wrong thing could make it worse because they're not the meds meant for what he's got. Even if he's got something, which I mean, based on the descriptions, he probably has something. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose anything. So, yeah, just probably a high pain tolerance.
Gonna come in to observe and watch Anders to see if he's got any of these traits that his mom is talking about.
I mean, if his mom
and
is
they
like
get the exact
slapping
opposite.
him around,
I mean, I
and
think they even had to check their
pulling
files
on
to make
them
sure
and
that they're
stuff.
at the right place with the right kid.
he's
He's
probably
just
just
seemed
got a high
over
pain
life
tolerance.
as a toddler. He took no pleasure
You have a
in
high pain
toys.
tolerance? I don't. I don't know if I'd want one. To you, is that like a good thing to have? Because I have like a medium pain tolerance. You know, like it's decent, but I wouldn't say it's like high. But it's pretty decent.
He was not curious. He does not care to do anything physical or use his imagination. He just seemed emotionless, expressionless for the most part. He also was incredibly clean and tidy. He would actually have an outburst when he can't control how clean and tidy his environment is. But the good thing is, the doctors observed that once they changed his environment and got him to adapt to a new setting that was a lot more kid-friendly, he started slowly exhibiting more childish traits, which is like being curious, wanting to play, doing pretend play. So they concluded that his psychological state and damage was done by the environment and probably his mom, and as of right now, it could be reversed. It
Definitely
could be.
his mom is
So if we can
definitely
get
a
him
part
into
of it.
foster care, it's going to be a good time. They noted that the mom was very, very abusive in a sense, verbally abusive with her son. One second she would be so pleasant and kind with him, and then the next second she would scream at the top of her lungs, "I wish you were just dead."
She bipolar?
They said that on one hand,
Maybe?
the psychiatrist and the specialist believed that his mom had a very complicated viewpoint of men and projected that onto her own son. So it seems like even in her romantic relationships, on one hand, she absolutely needs a man in her life at all times.
And she probably feels
needs
like
her
that's,
son in her life.
you know,
On the other
that's
hand,
the reason why
she's incredibly skeptical and
dude left
grossed
or
out by a
whatever.
man's aggressive sexual tendencies. And she seems to think that Anders does that at the ripe age of 4.
4 years old.
It was just
Yeah, wow.
escalating
Okay.
very quickly. But when they suggested that he be placed into the foster care system, his mom disagreed, and technically there was nothing
course
that
she
they could legally do
disagreed.
about it.
Yes, you can't take the kid away from her.
But that was when he was a kid. Later, as a teenager, a few of the neighbors, they could see the red flags in Anders. I mean, they could practically
Okay.
smell the red flags. Really.
I mean,
And when
it
the
doesn't help
neighbors,
that
they
his
stepped onto
mom
their front
was
doormat
who she
to walk into
was.
their homes, their shoe would sink into the doormat and make that disturbing squishing noise. It's like if somebody soaked the doormat in a tub of water, pulled it out, and then you step on it. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
and they're like, that
Like a
smell,
sponge.
I know that
think
smell
maybe.
because there's no way it's water. It's pee.
Blood? Oh.
There was only one resident who would pee on all the doormats, and it wasn't a family pet, it was Anders. But it's best not to even say anything about it, because if you
On the
talk to Anders'
doormat?
mom, she's not going to do anything about
the
it, and if you talk to Anders about it, he might retaliate even harder. One of the neighbors likely said
Okay.
something because her doormat was peed on, then her weekly newspapers were soaked in pee, then her storage room in the basement also peed on.
Oh,
There were rumors
what
going
the
around
what?
that he liked to play Master of Death and Life with ants. He would find an
Okay.
ant colony, and he would see them all walking in the straight line, all the working ants. And he got off on the idea that he could eeny, meeny, miny, moe, and then just squash one to death. It was all up to him. It was his choice. They didn't get a say in who survives
okay.
and who dies.
Okay.
He would catch bumblebees and put them in a cup of water to watch them drown, and he thought it was hilarious. He would even have these rats that he shoved into a
Oh,
small
now
cage,
what?
and it seemed like the sole purpose of having these pet rats was so that he could hurt them. But
Damn,
eventually,
man.
he would move on from rats to people. Now, this is very interesting.
okay.
So in high school, Anders was bullied, but he was also bullying other kids. So the stronger kids would bully Anders, and then he would turn around and pick a kid weaker than him and then bully them. One time he picked a skinny boy from the school, laid him in an old rug, rolled him up like a sushi roll, and just started jumping on the rug.
Oh my
crushing him.
gosh. What the fuck,
And he thought it
man?
was hilarious. And boom, there is a loud bang and an echo through the cafeteria of the main building on the island of Utoa. And it sounds like if someone
wait.
threw a metal tray onto the ground.
What?
Anders walks in and he starts calmly
Okay.
going from room to room. Nobody's running away from him. In fact, the kids are gathering near him, watching him, waiting for him to give out orders. He's a police officer after all. He's here to save them from whatever is going on this island. So far, all they've heard were a few loud noises that sound like fireworks and some screaming. He walks over at a regular pace to a group of students that are just kind of huddled in the corner, and he opens fire. All of them drop down, and he kind of wants to laugh. He said in that moment, come on, at least half of them were faking it. So he calmly walks around the pile of students on the ground and starts aiming for each of their heads.
Oh my gosh,
How many rounds
to
of
make
bullets did he pack?
sure.
He had a lot to spare. He shot one boy 8 times. He knocked him to the ground for good measure. He shot another one 5 times. And then he turns and shoots another 5 girls 18 times, 18 bullets until all 5 are dead. Then he moves on to the next room of the main building. He kills 5 more in there. This to him, this was easy. This is what he practiced for months for. He was getting into a sick sort of flow state. It was actually the beginning when he first landed on the island that was tough. All the nerves, the anxiety, he didn't know if he could go through with it. When he first arrived on the island, he was questioning, is this really gonna happen? Like, should I just act like I'm a police officer and then be like, oh, sorry, I just wanted to protect the kids? Because he was that nervous. The first people that he came face to face with on the island were an off-duty cop that was volunteering to be a security guard for Yutoa and a woman named Monica. She's the main coordinator of the program, known as the mother of Yutoya. And this is
he
right when he
wasn't
lands on the island. He's surveying the area. He's jittery. He feels the adrenaline. I mean, the island looks a little bit bigger than he imagined. Everything is feeling so surreal. Is this really happening right now? This is crazy. The off-duty cop starts questioning him. And where did you say that you were stationed? Oh, Grönland Station. And they sent you alone to the island. No. 2 other cops are going to be coming. When? Later.
But they sent you alone.
Do you know Jorn?
That doesn't
from
make
Grönland?
sense. To
The
just
real
be like
cop
sent
looks
out by yourself.
suspicious of all of his answers so far. And this Jorn question could be a trap. Either there is no Jorn, or there's a Jorn that everybody who works at the station would know about. Either way, this man is a massive threat to Anders' plan. He needs to get rid of him ASAP. It's now or never. He doesn't answer. He slowly reaches for his pistol while the off-duty cop and Monica are walking in front of him, guiding him up the little trail.
Is he gonna
He
shoot
raises
them?
it, and Monica turns around in time and screams, "No, don't!" He shoots the guard in the back. Then he turns, points the gun at Monica, and shoots her once in the back. They're both down on the ground, and he fires more shots into both of their faces. Right at that moment, when he's done, he looks up. And
I know you can't see me, but my jaw dropped, and I'm just like sitting here and just like shocked because I'm like, what the fuck is this? What? Why?
Boat captain, who happens to be Monica's husband,
No.
sees his life partner on the ground covered in blood, and he screams at the children on the island, "Run for your lives!" And everybody starts rushing, except Anders. He keeps his pace, and he starts hunting them down one by one. The students are turning to each other. "Everyone, report to the cafeteria. Please grab a buddy and let them know that we're all meeting in the cafeteria." The air is humid. It's been raining all day, and the students are showing up, clonking around in their rain boots. Wait, what's going on? It's not even mealtime. Why are we all assembling in the cafeteria? Was there something on the schedule? Another guest speaker? A few of the students had privileged information. They would lean over.
Like, I understand. You obviously want to inform everyone what's going on, but maybe all meeting up in one spot probably isn't the best idea. Just saying.
Want to talk to us about what's going on in Oslo. Apparently,
run
there was a
and
bomb.
hide.
A bomb in Oslo? A lot of the students had parents that worked in the government building, or at least on that street, because remember, this is the labor camp youth group. Considering that they're all part of this labor party, kids are starting to get really panicked. They're calling their mom and dad over and over until they finally get a response. Is this how parents feel when they don't pick up the phone? Like, that's what they're joking about. The kids are on the verge of an anxiety attack. Mother Yutoa, Monica, she's been managing this summer camp for the past 20 years, and she's trying to calm the kids down. She's bringing out her maternal side, and she's being very comforting. The rest of today's events have been canceled. The ferry will only run as needed instead of every hour back and forth off the island. But I just want you guys to know that you are safe. We are safe. We are in the safest place to be right now. Thankfully, almost all the parents working at the government buildings were fine, uninjured, and they all agreed. you guys are in the best place right now, because if there's gonna be another attack, another bomb, it's not gonna be on the island. It just made more sense, because metropolitan areas, that would be the main focus. This was the logical guess. Why would they
But now they're stuck with a dude who's going on a killing spree. So, I don't know.
have a bomb on the island? In that case, the parents were grateful that their kids were there. The kids were to sit tight, talk to an adult or counselor if they needed to emotionally process this information a little bit better. But other than that, they should be good from there. Wait, did you guys hear that? Hear what?
The gunshots?
I don't know, it sounded like a hammer hitting a piece of metal? A construction type noise or something? Wait, you just heard that, right? Did you hear that? It sounds like a firework or something. God, maybe some kid thought it'd be hilarious to light a firework right now after the news of the bombing. That's so sick, okay? If that's the case, it's very childish. That would not be the case at all. Other kids thought maybe the camp had it set up already so that the kids could learn what it's like to grow up in a war zone, to have these unexpected attacks and air raids. But if that's the case, that would be incredibly insensitive considering what happened earlier in Oslo with the bomb.
I'm pretty sure they would still stop that.
There was no time to even contemplate, because all hell will break loose on the island.
I'm confused what that thought process
start
was,
running.
though.
Some of them have no idea why they're running, where they're running to, and some of them don't even know what they're running from. They just see people screaming and running, so they're running. Wait, what are we running from right now? It's like an obstacle course with all the tents, the bonfires, camping gear, rain boots. If you trip, you might die. The confused kids keep running and running and asking questions. What the hell is going on right now? Why are you running? Nobody would respond.
Anybody knows
but eventually,
what's going on.
They would all run
they're
past
all
the
just
body,
going.
bloodied, dead, on the ground. And now they knew what they're running from. Hello, this is the emergency operator. How can I help you? Please help us. We're on Utoya Island. There is a man walking around in a police uniform shooting at us. The line goes dead. The operator stares at his phone. What is wrong with kids these days? I mean, the youth, they really have no such thing as discipline. What a sick
I'm
joke
sure
to make
she
right after
genuinely
the Oslo
sounded
bombing.
desperate.
He's about to turn to his coworker to rant about this kid doing a prank phone call when ring, 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 ring. Every single phone is lighting up, and the calls are getting backed up. Every
hundreds of
single
people
phone
calling
call
you
from Utoya Island. This was not a sick prank. This was
take it seriously.
Back in the main building, Anders was methodically murdering the children. He would walk up to a girl, hiding her head near the piano keys, thinking he couldn't see her. He walks over, shoots her. Blood starts pouring out and down between the piano keys. Shot after shot, he's just firing into everybody. A lot of the kids would hide their faces with their hands. The bullet would go through their hands and then into their heads.
Oh my gosh.
Anders walks up to behind the piano and sees another girl hiding. He smirks, fires a shot. It goes through her hands, but it doesn't hit her skull. Then another shot. This time it goes through the top of her arm. And the whole time, she thought...
Wait, the first one, did it get stuck in her hand?
I think I can survive this. I think so. I mean, her whole body just started to feel numb. She felt like this buzzing sensation. Her brain is not registering at all what's happening right now. It felt like she'd been kicked with a soccer ball really, really hard. But she thinks she can survive. And then the next bullet hit her jaw. She slumped to the ground, holding her jaw in place. And she could hear the gunman just breathing heavy, walking over her to the next student to kill.
But she's still alive.
The taste? She said that she's never tasted that before in her life. Gunpowder. It tasted like gunpowder. This was gonna kill her for sure. I mean, she could feel it. She's never experienced this before, but the movies, the books.
Wait. So did she survive?
This is her third, and it's in her
jaw.
jaw.
I was about to say she got shot
to lose
3 times.
in her arms, and then she
probably
tasted
bleeding
This
out.
time she knew that taste. It was blood. Meanwhile, 16-year-old Elizabeth is on the phone with her dad. She heard the news about the bomb in Oslo, and her dad works as a truck driver in Oslo, Monday through Thursday. She has no clue what route he takes for work and like what happened if he were to be in front of the van when it exploded. What then? Thankfully, he picks up to let her know that he's at home still. Okay. He didn't make it into work. He's going to be okay. Elizabeth just feels this weight lift off her shoulders. She can go find her older sister and tell her that her dad was stressing them out for no reason. He forgot to unsilence his phone. That's why he didn't pick up, but he's fine. She has no idea where her older sister Catherine is, though.
Oh, no.
That was 10 minutes ago. This time she's on the phone with her dad, and she's not talking to him. He's just listening through the line, and she won't respond to him. He just hears her screaming. He talked to her 10 minutes ago and it was a pleasant conversation. What is going on? He checks the news. There's
Now
nothing
she's
about
scared,
Utoa Island.
yeah.
There's nothing. There was no bomb that was set off there. The first thought that pops into his mind is she's being essayed.
Oh, wow.
What?
Because there's no news about the island.
That's
he thinks that she's calling because someone is essaying her at the
It's
summer
very
camp.
drastic.
Either way,
but
he hops into his car
I
and
guess,
he's telling
like,
Elizabeth,
hold on.
who is no longer responding to him, that he's coming. He's coming to the island. He's going to come and get her right now.
A plus dude.
For 2 full minutes and 7 seconds,
Damn.
he could do nothing but listen to his daughter scream for her
Wow. Like, I mean, that's not quite what was happening. But, like, A plus dad just, like, hop into it. He's like, I'm on my way. I'm coming. I'm already in the car. I'm heading there right now.
Then a bullet goes through her head, through her left temple, out her right temple, and straight into the phone, and the line goes dead.
Oh, my God.
Anders' life was not as easy as it looked, okay? In order for this to work, he had to prep for months in a random farm out in the isolated part of town, out in the middle of nowhere. He had to sit there for months going over the laborious, tedious steps that it takes to create a bomb that weighs a few thousand pounds. He had to crush over 200 packages of aspirin, the headache medication. He had to grind down aluminum till it was a fine silvery dust. It just got out everywhere. Do you know how aluminum powder is? I mean, no matter what you do, it's going to be on every single piece of your clothing. It's just going to be covered in gray dust. It's worse than glitter, honestly, to get out. But it also makes things more
worse
explosive.
than glitter.
He had moved to the farm a few months ago. It's about a 2-hour drive from his mom's house. And he clearly underestimated the amount of work that this whole thing was going to take. His plan was to create a fertilizer bomb. But it's not as easy as they say online. Fertilizers for farms are usually in pellet form. Each pellet is coated in a water-repellent material. To make these pellets detonate, because, you know, you basically have to soak it in diesel and gasoline, the pellets have to be crushed in order for it to become explosive. Now, how do you crush it without grinding it? He doesn't have a machine. So he would just put them all over on the red barn floor and grab a dumbbell, one of those workout dumbbells, and he would just crush them. He barely got through anything. Nothing is going as planned. His whole body feels like it's been ran through by a truck. He's so sore all the time. He feels like his arms are going to fall off. His timeline keeps getting pushed back and back and back. At this point, he's going to miss the summer camp. And even when he was able to do it, he's reading about all these shady websites and how easy it is to get ignited and how so many people have blown themselves up in the process of trying to create a fertilizer bomb.
Not surprised.
He's feeling a little freaked out. And the fertilizer dust is everywhere. He said, I used a 3M mask, but surely I'm going to die of cancer within 12 months. I mean, I must have gotten so much of the fertilizer dust into my lungs. He would make mini versions of the big one that he was planning. And when it was thundering outside, he would take it out into the field to test it, to make sure it works.
That's crazy.
And it gave him a lot of anxiety. You know, what if someone hears it? What if someone sees him? But also, what if it detonates before he can walk away? What if the fuse doesn't work as planned?
I mean, if someone saw you, I don't
So to do all of this,
know if they would think it was a bomb,
a ton
honestly.
of money on
I don't know what they
steroids
would
and
think.
protein
I
powder
don't know
to
what
get
I
his
would
muscle
think.
mass up. This guy was jacked.
I'd be very
There's
confused.
no way that he felt he could carry out this plan if he did not have the stamina. He drank a ton of milk for a few months straight. He said that his reward system was good food and protein. He needed all the energy that he could get if he was going to kill as many people as he planned to kill. He wanted to kill over 100.
Damn.
Some people have described the island of Utoya as a piece of heaven on earth, or at least before July 22nd. If you look at the island from an aerial point of view, it's heart-shaped, and people say that it has all the best things about Norway just compiled into this one tiny little space.
It's a cute little island.
The trees, the water, the climate. I mean, the island itself is pretty underdeveloped, which just adds to the beauty of it. There's no crazy resorts on the waterfronts. The island is owned by the Labour Party in Norway. So there's just a few buildings out there for the purpose of gatherings and seminars, and most importantly, the youth summer camp that had been going on for 61 years.
Okay, yeah.
The few buildings on the island include the main building. That's where all the guest speakers come to do these massive group activities. Then you have the cafeteria, a cherry red schoolhouse, tiny green cabins, as well as clearings to set up tents. There's also this little flat patch where you can play soccer, but most of the island is wooded. And these wooded areas, they just drop randomly down into a cliff into the water.
That's honestly kind of scary.
Really nowhere you could run.
Well, I mean, you could run
He was hunting them.
off
and
the
they
cliff,
had nowhere to hide. He would later say it's not like the movies,
Like I said
the way
earlier,
people
I don't
die.
know if there are rocks.
Yeah, I mean, there were two
under
ways
that water,
people
how
reacted to
shallow
him on
the
the
water
island. This
is.
is what he said. Either they would lay down and pretend to be dead, or they would freeze completely, like their feet were glued to the ground. They could not stop staring at him. He would have the gun barrel up to their face, and they could not run. Nothing was holding them down. They were just frozen. It's like they knew what was going to happen next. He was going to shoot them. He's not going to spare them. He just thought it was so strange. I mean, he never saw anything like that in the movies. But he was also experimenting on his time in the island. He said one time he shot a girl mid-scream.
Really?
He fired into her mouth. Her skull shattered, but her lips remained unharmed.
Oh my god.
The bullet did not graze any part of her lips. He's basically bragging that his aim was good. He also would later report that he shot people's heads, and they would all sort of let out this exhale, like a... He thought that was interesting. He said it didn't happen all the time, but most of the time it did. And he never read about that anywhere, nor was it depicted in the movies.
Oh my
there are reports, though, that
probably
after
because
he
the people
aimed
who made
and
the
shot
movies
someone,
didn't go
he
out
would
and
let
actually
out a
kill
quick little
people.
whoop or a cheer.
Oh my gosh.
And even then, there was still a lot of chaos on the island. Obviously, nobody knew how many shooters there were, or if he was the only one, or if there were other officers on the island. Everyone was confused. Is this a real cop? Is this not
This
a real
man
cop?
is a
Near the
disgusting
middle
human
of
being.
his spree, he would get tired of checking every nook and cranny in the grass and in the buildings. He resorted to luring the kids out. Is everybody okay?
No.
We caught the gunman. You're safe. The ferry is coming. We need to line up and get you on the boats.
Hell, kids do
would
not
poke
move.
their heads out of their hiding spots.
No,
and
no,
see
no.
him
You
in
stay
his
where the
police
hell you
uniform with
are.
the police badge on his black shirt and all the gear that a real police
I would not be
officer would
going
have.
anywhere.
Come on, everyone. We've apprehended the shooters. It's safe now. We got to get going. We got to make sure that everybody's accounted for. One by one, they would hesitantly get up and walk from the area of the grass that they were hiding in. And once he gathered a big group,
Oh my gosh.
he would lift up his
He would
arm
just shoot.
and open fire.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, that is.
After being
Sick,
shot,
it's
one
sick.
survivor said she was shot in the shoulder and in the stomach, then later once through her thighs, through her legs. And she
Oh.
remembered thinking, okay, so this is how I'm going to die. This is it. She just remembers feeling so thirsty and just waiting for death. She closed her
that's so
eyes,
scary.
and even before she closed her eyes, she said that everything looked foggy and misty, and the sounds were all muffled as if she was underwater. And she thought, oh, this is what death feels like. Okay. She closes her eyes and she gets ready because she said, I'd rather just die quickly.
Oh my god.
But the darkness never came.
Bro.
And she opened her eyes again and she felt this overwhelming sense of, well, if death doesn't come to me, why would I go to death? I should try and survive.
Wow.
And she said that she kept thinking about two things to keep herself awake and distracted. One, she hadn't seen the last Harry Potter movie yet. She read all the books, but the last film, Deathly Hallows Part 2, it'd be a shame if she left the series unfinished.
Okay.
And two, there was this guy in her class.
Oh, your little
He was
crush.
a total douchebag, and she never told him he was a douchebag.
Oh,
And she
never
said,
mind.
So now, unless I go and tell him he's a douchebag, he's gonna live his whole life not knowing that he's an ultimate douchebag. So she had to stay alive for that.
Bro, if that's like really what she thought, I love that. I love how it's not like, no, I gotta stay alive for my family. No, it's I gotta stay alive to tell this bitch that he's a douchebag. Like, okay. I love that for you.
Anders did spare a few of the kids. One was this little boy. I believe he was there with his parents, and Anders believed that he was too young to know any better, too young to have a
Too
choice on
young.
whether or not he was at a camp like this.
They were all too
He spared the
young.
little boy. But also he needed some more bullets. But he also spared 21-year-old Adrian. Adrian, in the beginning, when he first heard the firework-like noises, he did not believe that someone was hunting them. I mean, as of right then, this just doesn't make sense. It's kind of ludicrous. The idea of someone coming onto the island and shooting at them in Norway, where it has one of the lowest murder rates, like, people don't just shoot people in Norway. That's crazy. Adrian thinks genuinely like someone in the camp is trying to have a sick joke right now. And even though his brain is having a very hard time processing everything that he's heard, his body's reacting. He is half crouched, hidden behind a tree, and all around him he can feel more teenagers crouching and waiting to see what's the best next step. Everyone
They're all seeing when they
but the
can make a
girl in the
move.
gray. She did not hear anything.
Oh, she
She
deaf?
had been in the showers the whole time. She had no idea
Oh.
that her friends were being hunted and murdered in the woods. She didn't hear the gunshots. She was in the shower.
Oh
She's
my
walking
gosh.
out of the bathroom, and all the other students
She
are
didn't
holding
know
their
to
breath
hide.
because she's on the phone and walking straight towards the guy with the gun. The man starts walking straight towards her too. He doesn't speed up or slow down. He just walks at a leisurely pace, and he looks like he's intrigued.
Calm.
Like they're just strangers that are about to pass each other on a hike. But when they're a few feet away from each other, the girl looks up and her whole body tenses. There's just
She
something
finally
so unsettling
realizes
about
what's
this whole
going
situation.
on.
Why is there a police officer on the island, and why is he holding a gun, and why is he looking at her like that?
And there's nobody around.
There is, but they're hiding.
Right.
Her whole body tenses, and she instinctively takes a few steps back. And the students in the grass see the man lift his right hand and shoot her straight in the head.
Wow,
And
that's...
she is dead. That is when Adrian
Ooh.
realized.
Even when
This
you
is not
survive this,
This
like,
is
you would
very
have
real.
a lot of trauma. For
Adrian
sure.
and the others, they make a run for it. They start running towards the edge of the island because they're ready to jump off the cliff and into the water. They start throwing themselves into the water,
Mhm.
under the water. Maybe if they're under the water,
Oh,
he can't see where they
so
are.
landed
And
on
maybe
the
if he
rocks
can,
and-
the bullet can't reach them that quickly and won't have the same
Yeah,
amount
it
of
can.
damage since bullets travel slower due to the density of the water. Exactly. So Adrian is knees deep in water when he looks to his side and he makes direct eye contact with the barrel of the gun.
Oh
And
my
it feels
gosh.
like multiple Mississippis have passed. Time is slow. He imagines his
Multiple
parents and their cute
Mississippis.
Australian shepherds just showing up to his grave. And he's thinking, what a shit way to die. That's what he was thinking in that moment. And he looks up and he screams, "Don't shoot!" But he instinctively closes his eyes, waiting for the impact
He
of the
expects to be
bullet. What does
shot.
being shot feel like? I mean, I guess he's going to find out, right? But when he opens his eyes, the man has lowered his gun and is stepping away
Mhm.
from the trees. What the hell? Is his gun jammed?
Okay.
But then he
why?
hears two more shots ring out
Wait,
almost immediately.
So why did he leave
The
him?
man,
Why did he
Anders,
let him
would later
go?
say he did not kill Adrian because Adrian looked like a conservative rather than a liberal.
Oh. Okay.
Anders had a manifesto titled 2083, a European Declaration of Independence. The
I guess his motive is political. He didn't like liberals.
whole thing is
So he was shooting anyone he thought looked like a liberal. Maybe.
1,500 pages long. 1,500 pages, not words.
Either that
pages
or
long.
he's just willing
And when he's
to
done, he had a
to
plan to email
let
it to over 1,000
conservatives
people before
go.
he committed his crime, which he did.
Man,
The
I don't know.
manifesto was emailed out to like an email list before he committed the crime, before he bombed the government building.
Who's on the list?
A lot of them were neo-Nazis that he met on a forum that he was collecting
Makes
their
sense.
emails, but also they would include Norwegian politicians and journalists. The whole
Oh,
dragging
okay.
1,500
Had to let
pages of the
everyone know.
manifesto are just him critiquing Norway, Norway's Labour Party, multiculturalism. I mean, nothing he says is revolutionary, eye-opening, even thoughtful, or remotely correct. Most of the
Mhm.
pages are littered with historically inaccurate, rambling rants of someone who thinks that they know more than everybody else. Also, it's just filled to the brim with hatred. Basically, he's a raging racist. Most of his hatred is aimed towards anyone that is Muslim. He really hates Muslim people. He thinks that they're immigrating
boy.
too frequently to Norway and they're going to secretly all of the Norwegian women and take
what?
over. Yeah.
Where
And
did
he
that
thinks
come
that
from?
they're immigrating to his country because this random good-for-nothing civilian owns the country. In the
Oh my
manifesto, we do get a diary of how he's planning
This
on
bitch.
committing the bombing and shootings. He even writes about
Oh,
his
so
steps
he
to
laid
get
it
there and how
out.
he's been planning this for years. And something very unsettling to note, the way Anders talks about the plan is almost like he's planning a tactical military operation. There is no sense that he understands these are real lives. Not saying that he doesn't know right from wrong, but like he's such a narcissist, he does not believe that other people's lives mean anything. This is his
Wow.
world, and
He
world
doesn't
is
see the
living in it
value
is
of
the tone
other
that he
people's
uses.
lives.
He also emphasizes the importance of bringing water with you on a trip like this to get the mission completed so you don't get dehydrated. The way that he describes his future movements, his plans, is almost like he's playing a violent video game. He also rants heavily in the manifesto
Okay.
about the new Norway and how it's become a
That's
place where
crazy,
women
man.
come in and they just
Crazy.
take men's power. He said it's
The
so hard
fuck's
to find a
that mean?
suitable female to marry because all the women in Norway are just so liberal and they would make horrendous housewives, which is why when he was younger in his 20s, You know, he was a bit more into the idea of getting married and having a traditional family and a housewife. He tried to get a mail order bride. Yeah. Okay. So he said, I'm going to look for women that are super submissive, right? And I think that is just crazy to think that a specific ethnicity of woman is more submissive is wild. But he also goes for Eastern European countries, which is like not what the women are known for there. They're usually known for being very independent and headstrong like any other country. He meets a Russian woman by the name of Natasha, and he said that they dated for a while.
Oh my.
And most of it was just him shit-talking her country and her culture. He was just like, yeah, you guys are super uncivilized, and I think that most of your vegetables and food is radioactive. Because, you know, Chernobyl. Obviously, she stopped dating him, and he wondered why things did not work out. He was genuinely confused. He didn't feel like the problem was him.
Didn't
you know?
reflect on
and
his
there's really
actions.
only 2 people in the relationship, so clearly the problem was with her, the female. And women, honestly, it was women's problem. He stated that his upbringing had been so difficult because his mom was a bad mom because of the feministic revolution. That's why she had so many boyfriends, because the world was like, you should have so many boyfriends. You're a feminist. Ooh, go do your thing. He remembers when he was a child, the very first female prime minister of Norway was in office, Gro. She's actually known as the mother of Norway, and he hated her. He said she embraced the position too much, as if she genuinely thought that a woman being in the most powerful seat of the country was a natural thing. That seat belonged to a man. She was just warming it up.
No, it doesn't.
He said that TV stations are busy being a propaganda machine where it just showcases female superiority. He rants that women use harassment charges to keep men in line. He writes, the man of today is expected to be a touchy-feely subspecies who bows to the radical feminist agenda. To summarize, 1,500 pages. The women were taking over, and now this was turning into a vagina state. That's what people like him called it, a vagina state.
Okay, well.
Yeah. So what is he going to do about it? First, he's going to kill all these people to make a statement. The Labor Party, the Democrats, the liberals, if you will, the people that want women in power. Gro was part of the Labor Party, and it is the current ruling party of Norway at the time in 2011. He wanted to kill them, strike them down, make a statement. Then he would find a way to take over and stop the ruling of their country. And then he would create the most specific conditions for breeding the best race. You had to have blue eyes and blonde hair. He would create these surrogate factories where men with blonde hair, blue eyes would go in and just impregnate blonde-haired, blue-eyed women so that these genes don't disappear because of all the Muslims that were coming in and having sex with Norwegian women.
Wait, so he had a plan after this island?
What the fuck?
Wow.
It was a very dumb plan,
This man
but he did have a plan.
Wanted to be like the next
I mean, it's
Hitler.
honestly wild because he felt like he was one of the superior people to
It is wild.
repopulate
It's right,
the population, right?
It's
Most
fucking
people
wild.
describe him as being average. They basically state he's so average, he's not even good at being average. He's average at being average. He was an average dude, average grades, average personality. He was even an average bully. He wasn't even like the worst bully in school. He was just a very average dude.
He was meh. He was okay.
The students on the island, they had 2 choices. Stay on the island and get shot, or try to swim away from the island and likely die by getting shot in the water or drowning. So they're all throwing themselves into the lake, and their heavy clothes are dragging them under the water. It's a dangerous place to swim. And then the figure appears. Anders is standing on the edge of the trees, staring at the teenagers, trying to swim away, and his face is bright red. Was it blood? Was he just hot? I don't know. And he screams, I'm going to kill you all. You're all going to die tonight.
Oh my God.
And he opens fire. Viljar just remembers thinking, I shouldn't touch my brain right now. He could feel the cold water, and he remembered the bullets had just rained down on them. Viljar was busy shielding his brother, pushing him into the water, pushing him out of the way, and his brother kept screaming for him, and he kept screaming, swim, get out of here. He remembers getting shot a few times. His brother was now gone, hopefully alive, swam away.
Yeah,
hopefully
he was
did
trying
a
to
good
help
job
his
pushing
brother
him.
before him.
But now he was feeling most of his body go numb. His eye especially, it felt like something was in his eye. He could see with his other good eye, but not well. His childhood best friend slammed down right next to him. She had been shot, her hands were bloodied, and she was holding her stomach where the bullet was, and she was crying to him, I'm gonna die, Viljar, I'm gonna die, aren't I? Oh, no, you're not.
Oh my
No, you're
gosh,
not
that's
gonna
just...
die. We're not gonna die. But he couldn't really see. He couldn't really see how injured she was. His eye was hurting him. He tried to open his
Sorry,
other eye,
I can't
and
really
no
make
light
any
was coming.
light of any of this.
He
Like,
looked
it's
at his
just,
friend and he calmly said,
it's just sad.
I think I've been shot in my eye.
Oh my
She looked at
God.
him. Oh shit. Because what else do you say to someone who'd been shot in their eye? He put his hand
I
up
mean,
to his eye and he felt
fair
something
enough.
squishy. It was soft.
Oh, no.
It was his brain.
Oh.
His skull had been shattered and there were bits of brain outside of his head.
Oh.
But his
Stephanie,
brother,
a bit
he
too
just
much.
needed to make sure that his brother was good so that he could
A
rest.
bit too much info, Steph.
That's what they say in the movies, right? Keep yourself awake until your loved ones are good, and then you can go to sleep. So he laid there on the shore telling jokes to everyone there. He was shot, bleeding out. A lot of them near him were dead, and he would tell them jokes. He would hum, he would sing, and then he would cry for his brother.
Trying
That
to
was all he
comfort
wanted to do,
them.
was to make sure his brother was safe until he couldn't do it anymore. That was his plan. Some of the
Yeah,
other
man.
teenagers tried to find some humor in their potential last moments. Two
But it's
were
hard
shot
to in
on the
this
shore and they were
situation.
hiding behind rocks. They were both bleeding out, holding onto their wounds, trying to stop the blood flow, and they were trying to stay as still as possible so the killer doesn't come back. And they whispered, "It'd be really nice to have a cigarette right now." Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
You think
I
the shops
bet.
are still open?
Maybe.
And they both giggled. And they stopped because it hurt. The Delta teams were dispatched to the island. Norway's elite police
That's awful,
units.
man.
They
All of
arrived
this happening
72
is
minutes
just
after
awful.
Anders.
Tr-
They're
real
trying to get an
tragedy.
understanding of what's happening, but it's been pure chaos for the past 72 minutes. Nobody knows who the killer is, where the killer is, and how many there even are. I mean, everyone's busy trying to stay alive. Even when the Delta teams get there, they're trying to talk to some of the wounded to try and figure out who the shooter is, but they don't want to talk. The ones that are still conscious, they're scared. They don't know if it's just another shooter. Pretending to be a cop, trying to get them to talk.
I was
so they're
going to say,
pretending
because
to be
the
dead
shooter was
still.
wearing
How do they know that these
a
police are the good
police
guys?
uniform.
Authorities described the survivors as being
Yeah, it's gotta be
curiously
scary.
quiet. They said it seemed like
Oh,
they were more of
imagine the trauma that comes with that, though. It's going to make, like, in the future after this, it's going to make seeing police very difficult for them. I mean, I'm sure it would, a lot of them probably suffer trauma from this and PTSD, and they might just be reminded of all the events of what happened here, and it's just going to be hard for them.
paralyzed. They weren't screaming. They were just sitting there, as quiet as possible. The locals who were working near the docks or live near the island, they started getting into their boats and they were getting ready. I mean, they had no idea what was going on, but it seemed like there were kids jumping into the frigid cold water trying to do something. So they start rushing over there. And now as they get closer, some of the boats stop and they just float around the island. Because they realize if they get closer, close enough to help the kids, they could also become a victim. There's clearly
Oh,
blood
yeah.
everywhere.
The shooter's
Other
still
boat
out
owners,
there.
they don't even think twice. They start navigating closer to pull the kids out of the water. The kids are being pulled up one by one, shivering, some of them actively bleeding. The water around them is turning pink. What the hell is going on? They're coughing up water. A policeman is shooting at us. Another boat owner drove as close to the group as children as possible. They can't get too close because the boat's propellers, and they were trying to be as quiet, trying to get the kids to get into the boat or at least lift their arms out so we can help grab you. But none of the kids would respond. It's like they were too scared to move. It took him a minute to realize they were actually dead.
Yeah.
One of the survivors said she has really bad vision and she had lost her glasses in the water. And she was really glad she did because she couldn't see much. But she was told it was a lake of death. Some of the boat rescuers told the kids, don't look back, okay? Just
don't
keep your
look,
eyes
just
ahead.
close your eyes.
But some of the survivors, they couldn't help it. They looked
Curiosity
back, and along
wins.
the shoreline in the water were just the lifeless
Oh,
bodies of their
that's
friends
gotta be
scattered
terrifying
around.
to see. It's gotta be awful to see.
Anders
I
is
mean, like,
killing
you
an
knew
average
these
of one
people.
person per minute.
You were here
one
at the
life
summer
taken
camp
per
with
minute.
these people. They were your friends.
And once the Delta teams get there, Anders was immediately arrested. It was incredibly anticlimactic, uneventful. He basically surrendered and told the police he's not going to hurt the police because they're his brothers. It's the others he wants to take out. Immigrants and those that are sensitive to
Oh my
immigrants,
God.
that care for immigrants.
Those that are
He
sensitive
said, I'm not
to
against you.
immigrants,
This is
really?
politically motivated. This country is being invaded by foreigners. This is a coup. This is the start of hell.
Look at that man.
A few things to note. Anders actually called to turn himself in multiple times while he was on the island, twice. And he mainly did this not because he was like, suddenly I feel remorse. I don't know why I did that. I just woke up from a hallucination and I was killing people. No, he did this because he did not want the officers to show up and shoot him on sight when they get to the island. Ironically,
he didn't want to die.
He was very invested in wanting to save his own life.
Mm-hmm.
And additionally, he kept calling his crimes executions.
He cared
like
about
the victims
himself.
Were executed by the state or something.
He didn't care about
refused
others'
them being
lives, but
referred
he
to
cared about
as
himself.
murders, which is wild. After his arrest, the only thing that he seemed really to care about, well, one, was not being put in a prison with a lot of Muslim inmates, but also was that they do not take his picture. He was hell-bent on the police using one of the pictures that he had prepared for this very moment. He included it in his manifesto. In fact, he wrote in his manifesto, before you commit acts of terrorism, take professional headshots. Where you look good, get a haircut, buy a suit and tie, do your makeup even. Because otherwise
After
the
you
police will
killed
purposely find the most
59
R-word-looking photo
kids.
of you and post it everywhere.
No.
That's the photo you're going to be known for.
Denied. Not allowed.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And what did they use?
They used their own photo, mainly.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Can
Did
you
see
show
the
it?
photo that he prepared?
Yeah.
Show it, Stephanie.
What
They're-
does that look like?
I mean, some of them are like him posing with a gun, but they do look photoshopped.
So
Yeah.
it's like Facebook photo, like trying to look cool.
Yes.
Oh my
Trying to look
gosh.
bad.
Look, he's
Cool.
trying to look like he's decorated and all this shit.
In a little more than an hour, Anders had shot 99 people. Almost all of them
99.
he shot more than once. Almost half of them he shot at least 3 times.
Oh
Out of
my
the
God.
99, 69 died, leaving the remaining 30 with very serious injuries. In Oslo, he killed 8 people
Oh
with his
my
bomb,
gosh.
and in total, in the span of a few hours, on July
That's
22nd,
crazy.
2011, he killed 77 people.
Ugh.
The youngest being 14.
They
and the
were all
oldest being
so
51,
young.
and the majority of the
Oh
deceased
my
being
gosh.
teenagers. 2 of his victims were not shot or impacted by the bomb, but one 17-year-old boy, in his
Disgusting
attempt to
human
flee the
being.
island, he fell off a cliff and fractured his skull, leading to his death.
Oh.
Another 17-year-old boy was trying to swim away to escape the island, but remember how I said it rains a lot during the summer? A lot of them were wearing rain jackets and rain boots. It wasn't hot, so a lot of them were wearing a lot of thicker, heavy clothing, and the water was
Oh,
pretty
they were getting
dangerous.
dragged.
He was
yeah.
found drowned at the bottom of the lake.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
the bloodiest day in Norway since World War II, and at the time, globally, it was the worst mass murder
It was a
in modern
tragedy.
Western history. At
It
the
is a tragedy.
Everyone on the island gets divided into 3 categories by the authorities. Survivors who had been shot, but they survived.
Right.
Bodies, and those who are still on the island and likely not alive. Their bodies have yet to be recovered. And of course,
Okay.
you had the group that were not shot and they survived.
Right, of course.
Do you remember Elizabeth? She was the one on the phone with her dad when she was shot.
Yes.
She was unfortunately, she passed. But her older sister Catherine was also on the island, and she
Oh,
called her
they were
parents,
both
and she was
there?
trying to keep calm so that they didn't worry too much. And she told them, "Mom, I've been shot in the stomach and the arm, but it's okay. I'm
Oh
okay.
my
They're taking me
gosh.
to the hospital." She would be hospitalized for 19 days, and then she'd be well enough to go home. And when she did, I mean, nothing in her life was the same anymore. She lost her little
Yeah,
sister.
she lost
gets
her
winded,
sister.
even just climbing up a flight of steps.
Mhm.
And one
She
night
went through a traumatic
completely broke down crying.
experience.
Why me though? Why me? Elizabeth was the pretty one with all the friends. Why did I survive? Why not her? Why did she have
Survivor's
to be the
guilt.
one to die? And
Oh
her
my
parents didn't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah,
Adrian,
that's
the one that Anders
hard.
didn't shoot
That is
initially
so
because
hard.
he thought he looked conservative enough. Well, he was eventually shot in the shoulder. Whether Anders was aiming for him or just opening fire on everyone and he happened to be in that group is unclear.
Probably just
but he
opening
was hiding when he
fire,
was shot.
in my guess.
He survived, made it to shore, and he kept insisting, "I'm good. I've just been shot in the shoulder. There's other kids that have been shot in the head, the face, the stomach, the chest. Like, go take care of them." The EMT listens to his heart, and they're shocked. I mean, they're staring at Adrian like he's not even supposed to be here, because if that bullet had been 1 millimeter, 1 pencil tip closer
It
to the
would've
left,
got his
he would have
heart.
needed to amputate his whole arm.
Oh.
If it had been 1 centimeter, about the size of a staple, closer
Wow.
to his heart, it would have killed him. Viljar,
That's
the
crazy.
brother who was shot in the eye, he survived.
Wait, the one that with the brain tissue out?
Oh,
He lost an eye. He needed to amputate
oh,
his
but
arm.
he survived.
but he
That's
survived, and so
awesome.
did his brother. Viljar was in a coma for a really long time. Nobody knew if he was going to make it. And the
I'm
doctors
sure.
came
That
in
must have
and
been
they told
tough.
his family, "We're going to need to amputate his arm before he even wakes up from the coma."
Oh.
And his family said that Viljar's little brother, he would stick one arm into his shirt for the next few weeks until Viljar woke up. He said he wanted to prepare for when his brother woke up from his coma so he could teach them all the tricks of living without one of his arms. So he tried to live his life
That's
without
so
one of his
sweet,
arms so
man.
that he could give him all the hacks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
There were a lot of
It's okay,
siblings at the
Stephanie.
camp, and in some cases, parents lost both of their children at once. There was a survivor named Lara, and she said, it felt like he never ran out of bullets. When it started, there was so much mud that I almost slipped. I kicked off my sandals. I was running barefoot. It didn't take long to get to the end of the island, maybe 30 seconds. It was then that I realized there's no place to
There's
hide.
nowhere to go,
There's
yeah.
nowhere to hide. She
Damn.
would lose her older sister, Bana.
Oh.
Many of the survivors, they lost
Like,
friends
this
or
really
family,
is
and
just
they felt a ton
so
of survivors'
hard.
guilt. One survivor said, I only had time to escape and survive
Like I
because
said
he's
earlier,
busy
there's
killing someone
no
else."
there's no reason for you to feel guilty for surviving, and I know it's hard. I mean, I haven't gone through an experience that would lead to that, but you shouldn't have to feel guilty for surviving. You went through some terrible, traumatic experiences. And it's just you shouldn't have to feel guilty about that.
In the days after the attack, the entire city of Oslo and really all over Norway, there were flowers laid out for the victims. Flower shops all over the country were running out of roses, lilies, then orchids, then carnations. Every church and monument in the city was covered in flowers. After Anders' arrest, Anders' mom was contacted by the police and she was told to come out of the building and put her hands in the air. She thought that her son had also been injured in the bombing in Oslo. She was freaking out, making sure that her
Damn.
baby's all right. She thought it was strange, like he's not coming over for dinner like he promised. And it was only in the interrogation room that she learned what her son did. And she kind of sort of defended him. I mean, she didn't deny that he did this, at least not at the end. But she basically just said that Anders was a sensible and clever kid. He had good friends and was a nice boy, warm and fond of his mom.
Obviously
He did
not.
get arrested once before because he was like vandalizing public property. He was a tagger, meaning that he would go around tagging his name. This is very different from graffiti artists. Graffiti artists do art. For graffiti, taggers, they just write their names. Do you know those words?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would just spray paint walls. He was arrested for that once before. But other than that, she thought that he was getting his life together. After high school,
Well, he
Anders actually got
obviously
involved in
wasn't,
politics.
though.
He was actually a not bad networker once he needed to be. And, because, you know, that's what politics is. He was actually pretty good at it.
He could have been a
Except
decent
there was also
person.
that thing. People could
but he
tell
wasn't.
that Anders wanted to fit
Walking red flag.
a little too desperately. He also had a very strong preachy air about him that people didn't like in politics. For example, let's say you start a knitting club. Everyone who joins has
Okay.
never knit a day in their life prior to that club. Everyone is on the same skill level. Everybody is in the same experience level. And then suddenly 2 days in, there's someone giving you knitting advice as if they've been doing this for the past 2 decades of their life. And it's very annoying, to say the least. That's Anders. He gives
Okay.
up politics. He discovers his real passion is not politics, it's money. To him, it's either be a millionaire or die trying to be a millionaire. He was obsessed with money, status, and power. And honestly, he just liked the
Okay.
power that money gave him, nothing else. He would have all these big, grand ideas of how he was
So
going
then
to
how did he
revolutionize a
get
reputable industry.
here
And he always complained,
to
you should
shooting
not be ashamed
kids?
of wanting to have a better life and
Like
setting goals.
how did we
Norway
get
is
there?
obsessed with the loser mentality. Yeah. He was always preaching and ranting about aiming higher, smashing through the most insane goals and boundaries. And if you listen to him talking, you would think that he's in the process of starting like the next Fortune
Like a
500
riot?
company.
Oh.
But no, he's selling online fake diplomas. He had a website, and it's a legal gray area. He would list the website as a decorative prop store for movie sets and films. But I mean, I think it's pretty clear. Everyone knows what's being sold there. He would sell very
Yeah.
legitimate looking diplomas from top universities around the world. He was basically a
Damn.
glorified forger. And the only reason that he stopped, even though he was making like $1 million,
He was gonna
he
get in
at one point
trouble?
was a millionaire. What? Yeah. He was scared not for being arrested. He was scared that he would be exposed for being a forger. And that is such a low thing to be exposed for. It's like being described as a thief. Like, that's a very low petty crime.
That's what you're scared of?
So he quit selling fake diplomas and he tried to move on with his life. But he just
Wow,
couldn't
okay.
find anything. So for 5 years, he moved in with his
Wait,
mom.
he got
This is
bored?
when he's 27 years old. He locked himself in his room, and for
He
5 years,
became
he
a
just played video
millionaire
games.
before
His favorites
27?
were World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. He was actually pretty good at gaming, and he really liked the concept of gaming. He went on these rants about how you just need to put in the hours to be respected. You don't need to be born into games. You don't need to be handsome. You play, and you get respect from other players. That's it. He likes that everybody starts on the same footing, and nobody
On the
has
same
inherent
level, yeah.
privileges. Which, I mean, nobody tell this guy about cheat codes. A lot of netizens did later point out that it is strange. He's a neo-Nazi, which the best way to categorize Anders is neo-Nazi and they're fascists. They're like super far right. And usually they're the bitter enemies of communists, which some would argue is like super, super far left. But sometimes the things he says, it feels like he identifies more as a communist than a fascist. He's like, everybody should be equal, but only if you have blonde hair, blue eyes. And only if you have a wee-wee. He also did join the Freemasons only because someone on his dad's side was a Freemason, and he basically forced him into recommending him.
Wait, I thought he did join.
He did join.
He forced him to.
And nothing really came out of that. By the time that he had his little initiation ceremony,
He realized he didn't want to be in it.
He was over the Freemasons.
Yep.
He was like, "This is
There it
stupid. I'm
is.
just gonna go kill people." He was already planning the murders at this point. At the end of the interview with Anders' mom, she looked the interviewer dead in the face and she said, "I am the unhappiest mother in Norway." There's only one place a criminal would want to be called crazy or insane, out of their minds, bonkers, and that's in a courtroom. It's the only place that's actually going to help them
What are you
to be
smiling
considered a
for?
madman. Unless you're Anders and your attorney recommends a not guilty plea of insanity, but you want everyone to know that you knowingly committed all these crimes, knowing right from wrong.
Man.
Being considered insane by the court system was his biggest nightmare. Yeah. Priorities, okay? Another
Oh my
priority for
God.
Anders
And
was
he was not
debating,
insane.
should he do a closed fist
He
salute
knew what he
or
was
an
doing.
open palm salute? He decides to go with the closed fist. When he walks into the courtroom, before he takes his seat, he shoots out his right arm and extends it as straight as possible, and his right hand is clenched into a fist, and his knuckles are white. Then he turns
if you did
straight
open palm, it'd
to the
be,
gallery of the courtroom and makes eye contact
I don't know
with
if
the
I can
family
say
members
it
of the
on
victims.
Twitch. Never mind.
He looks
Or on
incredibly
YouTube,
pleased
so.
with himself. Now, side note, they did have Anders go to the island and recreate the whole 72 minutes with them. They brought him back to the island. He was wearing a bulletproof harness. He was tethered to a police officer so that he couldn't run off. Literally, he's wearing one of those child leashes, but much more serious, bulletproof, tear-proof, you get it. And he's just going around demonstrating where he shot which group
He
and which way
walked
he
them
walked.
Why is he wearing a
around it.
bulletproof?
Oh my
They
God.
were worried that he was
'Cause I'm
gonna
sure
threaten
people
them
wanted
into
to kill
killing
him. Oh,
Like, he
Well.
was going to threaten a police officer.
I was gonna
So
say
that
the
they would
parents
shoot
probably
him.
wanted to shoot him, but
Wait, they were afraid that one police officer would kill him.
He would put them in a situation where they had to shoot him.
Mhm.
Like, he would want to exit
death by
by
cop.
a police officer.
Yeah.
Right, like he's trying to run away or
Yeah.
trying to attack them, and then,
So they can make him exit, but they didn't want to do that because they wanted him to stand for his crimes.
right, okay.
Now, to a degree, it was for the police to get a very clear picture of how everything happened, but it was also so that they could get a gauge on his emotions. And they observed that he had no regret, no emotions going back to this island. There is a picture of him where he was just holding up an imaginary gun.
Dude, because he's a
And he's
crazy
grinning.
man.
So he's basically displaying to the police, this is what I did here. It's like he's reliving the kills. Later during the trial, Anders is given the opportunity to address the victims' families, and he slowly gets up from his chair, turns to face the court, and he says, "When people say they have lost their most beloved, I also lost my entire family. I lost my friends. It was my choice. I sacrificed them, but I did lose my entire family and friends on July 22nd. I lost everything. So to a certain extent, I
Wait a
understand."
second. What? He said that?
And one
Wait,
snippet of his
he
testimony.
said
Okay,
that?
so in the U.S., it's advised that defendants do not take
Oh
the
my
stand.
God.
But Anders'
the-
testimony and cross-examination would go to last longer than a week. He actually gets very upset when they start
Wow.
rushing him because this is his time to shine. Yeah. And he tried to argue that he did not
Like,
do
piece
this
of
out of
shit.
evil. He did this out of goodness. He was trying to help Norway.
There's-
he also compared
there's
the
no
camp,
goodness in that.
the summer camp, to a Hitler youth event, which is crazy.
Oh, would you look
considering
at that?
he has
Look at what I said earlier on in the video where I said this man is trying to be the next Hitler. Look.
many parallels in the way that he thinks that are parallel to Hitler. And what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
That's not
What
even
the
politically
fuck?
correct. It's astonishing how someone can be so evil, but also at the same time so incredibly unaware of themselves and their own ideologies. It's just weird.
Jeg anerkjenner ikke norsk rett, fordi at dere har fått mandatet deres fra politiske partier som støtter multikulturalisme.
Day 17 of the trial,
What?
an object goes flying through the courtroom.
Oh,
A shoe.
there's some. Yes,
And
did it
all
hit him?
anyone can do is just
Did
stare
it hit
at
him?
it. It misses Anders, which is the
Damn.
target, and it hits one of his defense attorneys instead.
Damn.
And a man gets up screaming from his chair, "Go to hell, you killed my brother, you go to hell." Anders turns around and he looks disgusted by this man's actions. Like
Oh.
throwing a shoe is the most violent and vile, just despicable, uncivilized thing.
Throw
a
the
human
other
can
one.
do. But
You
that
have
man looks
another.
him
You
dead
have
in the face
two.
and says, "You're a
Throw the
murderer
other
and a
one.
devil, so go to hell." The whole courtroom is silent before one person starts clapping.
Yes.
And then another, and then suddenly everybody is cheering and clapping.
Yes.
The young man is escorted out of the courtroom with just
Ah.
one shoe. Now, to give you additional context,
Should
like I
have
said,
thrown the other
Anders
shoe,
hates
too.
Muslims, and shoe throwing actually has a very strong significance in Arab culture.
Oh,
Shoe
does
throwing
it?
has, from my understanding, it basically means that the target of the shoe is worth no more than the dirt that we step in.
Oh well, damn.
And that's why he threw the shoe. He said that he just wants to humiliate Anders. That's all. Convey a message for all the victims, and it's an expression of disgust. In the end, Anders was deemed sane and given the
Mhm.
maximum punishment
Of-
of 21 years.
You're kidding me.
You're kidding me.
Now, I
21
will say there is
years.
a loophole in this. So this sentence is what the
Hell
Norwegian
no.
justice system calls containment.
Put him away longer.
So it's not technically 21 years. It's likely
He's a
that he'll
threat
never
to
get out.
society.
So
Good.
basically what happens is that parole can be considered in 10 years. But after 21 years, for whatever reason, it doesn't even really have to be like a valid, strong, crazy reason. The
Mhm.
parole board is just like, no, you're going to stay another 20 years.
Oh, okay. So you can
It
just
just
like
seems like that's the maximum they can give.
renew
So
it.
it just means that after
Oh.
21 years, they have to evaluate.
Okay.
After
but,
21
like,
years, they'll
there-
give him
there's no
another
way he's
21
getting out.
years.
Is what
Can
most
you-
people
can you
believe.
imagine though.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, I think no.
I don't see it
Norwegians,
happening.
No. Yeah. Anders will be kept in solitary confinement. His only friends are a few
Good,
parakeets
good,
that
good.
he gets to keep in his. He has a 2-story prison cell.
What?
2 stories. We're gonna get back to it because Norway has some of the best prisons.
Then what's the?
Now the victims' families and survivors are.
He did
just
all this
trying to
awful shit,
navigate
and he's
life
got a
and in most cases,
2-story
severe PTSD.
jail cell. What
One
do you
survivor
put
said
in
that
a
there are times where
2-story
he's in a
solitary
crowded street
jail
or
cell?
store and he starts having panic attacks. His chest gets tight, like he's gasping for air. Another survivor said, the only place that they feel safe is in a moving car, where there's no strangers, there's no openness, and it's easy to drive away.
Well,
Some
look at
survivors still
that.
have bullets or fragments of bullets in their bodies because it would have been more dangerous to remove them.
Mhm.
And one survivor said it definitely hurts with trying to move on. They said mentally it's like there are still pieces
It's
of
still
evil inside
there,
of you.
yeah.
And it just feels like a reminder. Some of the
Oh,
victims' families
harsh,
and
man.
survivors have moved on, though. Elizabeth and Catherine's dad, the one that was on the phone when he heard his daughter died, he said he doesn't hate Anders. He said, because I don't give a damn about him. Why should I care? I still have my family that I need
Don't
to take
give
care
him
of,
the
and to hate him,
recognition
it would
that
take
he
my energy.
wants.
From day one, he is nothing but 0 to me.
Ooh.
Now,
Like
I
I
want to give
said,
a massive disclaimer regarding Anders'
plus stat.
imprisonment. I chose to include this portion regarding the Norwegian prison system only because it is a fact of the case and because a lot of netizens were talking about it. And I only compare it to the U.S. prisons because naturally that's where the most of you guys are. And also
Right,
when I hear,
that's
oh, he's
where
in
you
prison,
are.
I'm kind of picturing an American prison, right?
Mhm.
That is not the case. Anders filed a formal complaint. Well, he waged a lawsuit against the country of Norway for
Oh
a
my God,
violation of
for
his
what?
human rights in prison.
Oh,
He
shit, what's
demanded a
that?
replacement of his PlayStation 2 to a PS3. Because at this point, the
He
PS4 had already
has-
come out, and it's not like he's demanding the best one, the newest one.
He has a
The PS2 is way too
PS3
outdated.
in his jail cell.
What else can he do in there?
Take it
Or
away.
What can he not
Give him a
do?
book.
Yeah,
Just
which,
give him
by
a
the way,
book.
Anders said
That's
that
that.
he during the trial,
Not
in his
even,
manifesto,
not
too,
even.
he stated that he practiced shooting in first-person
Let him
pointer,
sit there bored as
shooter
hell.
games like World of Warcraft, but in prison he gets access to any adult games that he chooses. So he could be playing these video games. And this is not me trying to make a connection with violent video games. Like I typically don't subscribe to that belief, but he straight up said that's how I practiced. He also went to shooting ranges, but he also said, yeah. He demands that his government allowance of $49 per week should be doubled.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
and
He
said
gets
that the fact that
money
his
for
typewriter
being
has
in
not been
jail?
upgraded to a computer is a violation against his human rights. And he also mentions how he was given a rubber pen because he was constantly talking about self-exiting. So, of course, they're not going to give him a sharp pen to hurt himself with, so they gave him a rubber pen. And he said the pen is not ergonomic and it gives his hand cramps. He said it's actually sadistic that the government would give him nothing but a rubber pen to write with.
I can't, bro. I can't. I have no words really except for I can't. What the fuck? Why is he getting all of this shit? Why is this okay? Why? He killed 69 people. Shot 99 on the island. He also bombed a place in Oslo. And he's getting all this stuff and no. Oh my god.
Instrument,
I can't,
and I'm
bro,
very
I
frustrated
can't.
with it.
What
He
the
wrote
hell?
in the lawsuit, "You put me in hell and I
Dude.
won't manage to survive that long. You are killing me. If I die, all of Europe's right-wing extremists will know exactly who it
You
was that
put
tortured me to
99
death."
people and
The liberals.
more in hell.
He also called himself a political prisoner and a human rights activist in
Shut
the
the fuck
lawsuit.
up, dude.
A human rights activist. Side note,
BS.
there are a
I
lot of
call
women writing
BS.
love letters to Anders in prison.
Why?
But because he's in solitary confinement, the authorities get to read through all the letters before he gets to them, and they reject all of those. All the, quote, fun ones. I do believe that
Wow.
they let in some hate mail because he also gets a lot of hate mail. In 2022, he applied for parole. After his minimum sentence of 10 years was served, his application was denied.
Good.
Now, in 2024, he is 45 years old, and he waged another lawsuit this year against Norway, and
For
he claims
what?
that his conditions in prison are inhumane, and it's
Your
making him want to
conditions are fine.
self-exit. But when a psychologist evaluated him, they stated that he does not appear to be very depressed, and he was very low risk for self-exiting.
Yeah, he's
So
fine.
just to give you an idea of how
He's got all the other
depraved
shit.
his inhumane conditions are, here's a glimpse of his everyday life.
Hold
he can
on.
Play video games.
This looks like a college dorm room. You're telling me this is what his jail cell looks like? This is ridiculous. I have stayed in places similar to that. That's not a jail cell. He's got cabinets and a desk. He's got what is this? Like these look like nice desks and cabinets and drawers and things. Like what? Has he got a guitar up there? Where did he get these pictures? What's going on? What the fuck, dude? It's ridiculous.
Games. Watch
Absolutely
TV, read
ridiculous.
the newspaper, and check out books from the prison library. He was given a computer, so his typewriter was changed into a computer, but he does not have internet access. He can prepare his own food and do his own washing.
But
He
he's
can
even
have
got
long
a bathroom with a
conversations
door.
female friends.
He's got
He
a
can
TV
contact
over
prison
there.
staff, lawyers, a priest, health professionals. He has an outside volunteer that he was working with to get updates on life and help with things, but he no longer wishes to see them. I think they pissed him off. They can play chess with some
Wow.
volunteers. He built a gingerbread house as part of a prison competition during the holidays. He's got access to an outdoor play yard and is allowed to keep pet birds.
That's freaking.
Yes,
He
that's
has a
ridiculous.
living room in his cell that is the size of a medium-sized apartment living room, and
You
there
have
are
to be
two
kidding
video
me.
game consoles connected to a flat-screen TV that looks to be about 60 inches. He has black leather couches. a
Hold
coffee
on. I. What the actual fuck? Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. This is a wow. They literally set him up in an apartment. They literally set him up in an apartment. Those are some nice couches. It's better than my couch. Like, what is this? Look at the game consoles. And I know those controllers ain't cheap. Like, what
and
is...
curtains
You
on a massive window
literally...
that lets in a ton of natural light. He has a
You
dining
gave
table
him...
that has one of those
he's
table
got a
manners
dining
that's lit
room.
with candles. So I guess if he wants to eat nicely. The prison gym has a rowing machine, a leg press, all of it which looks very clean and new. Now,
You
normally,
gave him
this is
an
a cell pod, so
apartment.
that two-story cell would be shared between a few prisoners, but because Anders is high risk, he gets to have it all to himself.
Wow.
And he believes this is inhumane. And
Yeah,
that
he can
is
shut up.
the story of what happened
Denied.
on Utoya Island. I don't think
Wow.
I need a disclaimer, but obviously, I don't think any religion has any sort of connection with one's personality. I do think that there's a lot of villainification of Muslims, and I mean,
I don't think anything he said,
is even
is even worth,
Yeah.
debated on.
it's not even a conversation
Yeah.
because it's like talking to a brick wall. Like, there are no thoughts. It's just pure hatred.
It's
There is
ridiculous,
a
is what
Netflix
it
movie
is.
that
Like,
was
it's
created
crazy.
based off the events, and
Ooh, okay. Is
I
it
would
good?
Fictional movie?
fictional. I think
Is it close to
there were some
this
conversations
real
about
story?
it, which obviously it was
Okay.
not used as
So
source material,
probably
but I just want to
not
let you know.
exactly
What are your
good.
thoughts on this case? Let me know in the comments. This was a highly requested video, and please check out the book. I think the author works with a lot of the victims' families, and it was just an incredibly tough read to get through, but I think it is very insightful. Please stay safe, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.
Okay. Also, look at her little picture. It's gotta be I think probably an older picture. Let's see. Hold on. That was. It's hard, man. I mean, it was very interesting for sure. But that it's just so hard to come to terms with things like that. But it was very, very interesting, and I enjoyed hearing about it, learning about it, and watching the video.